Yo, what's that word? Third 12 Inning Podcast. This your boy Brodrick, the host of Third 12 Inning Podcast. This is our second installment in top 10 running backs ever. And we're talking about a local legend, for me at least, Edgerrin James. So starting off with his early life, Edgerrin James was born on August 1st, 1978 in Immokalee, Florida. With his father having a job that took him out of town, Edgerrin was raised alongside his four brothers and one sister in various places throughout the city. So this is a personal video for me because I spent a lot of time in the Immokalee as a jit. Edgerrin James was actually the first person I knew as a celebrity athlete, even though I grew up in Fort Myers. He was a guy that in Immokalee we would spend a lot of times at the block parties. We would spend a lot of times around my sister's father's family's house, and they were close. And so Edgerrin used to throw a lot of parties in the city, so that was big for the youth and for the adults coming up throughout the city. So now, side note, I used to have a football signed by him. It'd probably be worth a lot now, considering what he did, but I digress. So Edgerrin was a local phenom. He played for the Immokalee Seminoles, which is the Pop Warner team down there. Everybody throughout 239 knew him as a jit. He ended up attending the only high school in Immokalee, which is Immokalee High School. I low-key feel like that's a cheat code for them for real. It should be noted that during his sophomore to junior year, he hustled watermelons in Georgia to save up enough money to buy his first car, to buy his first whip, which then he took a trip to Miami-Dade County, and he got installed his signature gold teeth and dreadlocks. He really burst onto the high school scene during his junior year. That year, he chose to wear the number 32. He rushed for 2,127 yards, which led the state of Florida and included 29 touchdowns and leading Immokalee to the 1994 district title at 7-4. In 1995, he was coming off an elbow injury in the offseason, which he nursed in the first few games of the season. Immokalee started off 0-5. He returned, leading them to 4 wins in their last 5 games. He rushed for a total of 1,304 yards and 10 touchdowns and became a parade All-American that year. After not being the best student in high school, many colleges chose to cool on Edgerrin James. Only the state schools, and as far as out of state, Ohio State, offer him scholarships. Butch Davis made sure he saved one. Although I'm not sure the lack of recruiting mattered, as Edgerrin has publicly stated that Miami was his favorite school growing up, as they dominated the 80s and early 90s and were close to home. He also stated that every kid in South Florida wants to go there, which was the only cap I could find in anything he has said on record for this video. Go knows. Anyways, at Miami, he chose to wear the number 5. In his freshman year, he was expected to redshirt before injuries moved him up the depth chart. He ended the year with the Miami freshman rushing record of 446 yards and 2 total touchdowns. As a sophomore, he turned it up. He rushed for 1,098 yards. That was 6 yards per carry and 14 combined touchdowns. As a junior was his true breakout year. He had 1,416 yards, 19 total touchdowns on 242 attempts. The highlight of his college career was an upset win over number 2 ranked UCLA, where he rushed for 299 yards on a program record 39 carries. Yes, I said 39 carries. His Miami accolades were many and prestigious. They include being 3rd all-time in rushing yards, 2nd in rushing touchdowns, 1st in 100-yard rushing games, the only player with consecutive 1,000-yard rushing season, 1998 first team All-Big East, and University of Miami Sports Hall of Fame 2009 inductee. Now, since that time, Willis McGahee has came on to break a couple of his records, but in my opinion, he's still the best running back in the University of Miami history. Of course, after his junior season, like many other Miami players, he declared for the NFL draft. So the consensus number 1 running back in the 1999 NFL draft was reigning Heisman Trophy winner Ricky Williams out of Texas. After not having the funds to pay him, the Indianapolis Colts traded the legendary Marshall Faulk, who we have a video soon. He will surely be added to this top 10 running back series. And they also helped indirectly create the greatest show on turf, St. Louis Rams. Indianapolis pulled a draft day stunner with the highly criticized selection of Edgerrin James at number 4 overall. Here's a clip that can be found in a link in the description of this video where the Colts explain their decision to draft Edgerrin James. Edgerrin James instantly made the Colts look like geniuses. As a rookie, he led the league in rushing with 1,553 yards, 586 yards receiving, and 17 total touchdowns, which earned him the NFL Offensive Rookie of the Year, first team All-Pro, first team All-Rookie, a Pro Bowl invite, in addition to flipping the Colts record from 3-13 to 13-3. The next 5 years with the Colts formed the prime of his career. And his sophomore year was the year where he had the most yards. It was 1,709. His years with the Colts also included 3 more Pro Bowls, 2 second-team All-Pros, 9,226 total yards, 64 touchdowns rushing, 2,188 attempts, the single season Colts rushing record of 1,709 yards again, yards per game rushing record, average of 96.1 yards, most seasons of 1,000-yard rushing in Colts history with 5, Indianapolis Colts Ring of Honor, 4 AFC South titles, and 6 10-win seasons. He is also the Colts' all-time leader in rushing yards, touchdowns, attempts, and yards per game. Next, we're going to talk about his free agency period and ultimately the Arizona Cardinals. In 2005, the Colts chose to let Edgerrin James, in my opinion, the best running back in their team's history, walk for 2 primary reasons. The first, where they wanted to split up the money they would have had to pay him with a contract and pay other players at other positions, namely and specifically his fellow University of Miami Hall of Famer and legend, Reggie Wayne. The second reason was a deep and talented 2006 running back class headlined with talents like Reggie Bush, the great Reggie Bush, Maurice Jones-Drew, D'Angelo Williams, and Joseph Adai, who the Colts ended up selecting with a 30 overall pick. Now, it should be noted that the year Edgerrin left, the Colts actually won the Super Bowl, and he was so respected around Indianapolis and in that organization that the owner, Jim Irsay, sent him a Super Bowl ring. Now, the Cardinals. On March 23rd, 2006, Edgerrin James signed with the Arizona Cardinals for 4 years, $30 million. He gained well over 2,500 yards and scored 16 touchdowns in his 3 years with the team, including a Super Bowl trip in his final season, which resulted in a Super Bowl loss to the Pittsburgh Steelers. Now, this is a vivid memory for me because I was the only one in my house rooting for rooting for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Everybody else, like I said, we all from the 239, so they was rooting from Edgerrin James, not just because he was a local legend, but if you was in the community at that time, you know he was dealing with tragic personal situation at the time. And so out of respect, I'm not going to get into that. And I hope y'all will just understand it from that perspective. Now, he ended up signing with another team on August 24, 2009 after the Cardinals granted him a self-requested release. And that team was the Seattle Seahawks for 1 year, $2 million. After some modest stats over 7 games, they ended up releasing him mid-season. On July 26, 2011, Edgerrin James announced his retirement from the NFL. At the time, he was 11th all-time in rushing yards with 12,246 and 15th in rushing touchdowns with 80. Edgerrin James was enshrined into the Pro Football Hall of Fame class of 2020. Subscribe to 3012 Inning Podcast. Let me know how y'all felt about this video. Give me y'all thoughts on Edgerrin James and who else can be considered a top 10 running back of all time.